Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. I'm Hari, your host, as always, and today we're going way back in time, so get ready for a wild ride.
I'm Kimmy, and I'm excited to explore this fascinating topic with you, Hari.
All right, so we're taking a deep dive today into a Wikipedia article all about the Bonn-Oberkassel dog.
And I think it's a story that really makes you think about the long history of the relationship between humans and dogs.
Exactly, like way back to the last ice age.
It all started in 1914 in Germany, believe it or not.
Picture this, a bunch of quarry workers are just doing their thing, digging away in this basalt quarry in Oberkassel.
Just another day at work, right?
Exactly, and all of a sudden, bam, they stumble upon not one but two human skeletons.
Talk about a surprise.
Yeah, like a scene out of Indiana Jones. Instead of a golden idol, it's, two ancient skeletons just chilling together after all these centuries.
And as if that wasn't amazing enough right there with those skeletons, they found the remains of a dog.
A dog.
A dog buried with two humans like 14,000 years ago.
Wow, so we're talking like way, way back.
Way back, like end of the last ice age, when mammoths still roamed the earth.
Okay, hold on. I got to wrap my head around that for a second. 14,000 years?
Yeah, the Magdalenian period.
Yeah.
To be precise, a time of huge changes for both humans and animals.
So this dog and these humans, they were living in a world that was completely different from ours.
Totally different. Imagine glaciers, receding new landscapes, emerging a whole new set of challenges and opportunities.
Yeah, and to think they found all of this because some quarry workers accidentally dug up a grave.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, it almost didn't happen. Like some of the bones were actually misidentified at first and separated.
No.
Yeah, it could have been a real disaster for science. Luckily, a local teacher recognized how important the discovery was and alerted archaeologists.
That's amazing. Talk about being in the right place at the right time with the right knowledge.
Right. So they managed to reunite all the bones and piece together this incredible story.
So what can you tell us about this dog? I mean, was this a massive beast like a dire wolf?
Actually, no. From the skeletal remains, they figured out that it was probably a medium-sized dog, kind of slender, maybe like an Indian wolf, or even a Saluki.
A Saluki, like those elegant dogs you see in dog shows.
Exactly. Sleek and built for speed.
So not exactly a fearsome hunting companion.
Well, maybe not for taking down mammoths, but, this dog's story is fascinating for other reasons.
What do you mean?
Well, this pup had a rough life, and we know that from looking at its bones.
What kind of rough life are we talking about? Besides, living during the Ice Age with all those crazy animals.
Oh, yeah. Besides that, this dog survived canine distemper as a puppy.
Distemper, that's a pretty serious disease, right?
Very serious. Even today, it can be really tough for dogs to overcome, especially puppies.
And we're talking 14,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
No vets, no antibiotics.
Exactly. So you can imagine how tough it must have been for this little guy.
So how do we know it had distemper?
The signs are actually still visible on its bones. Things like enamel loss, missing teeth, and pretty bad gum disease.
Wow. And it survived all of that.
Well, it lived to be about 7.5 months old, which might not seem like much, but for a puppy with distemper back then, it's pretty remarkable.
So there's more to this story than meets the eye.
Oh, definitely. And that's what makes this discovery so special. It's not just about finding old bones, it's about uncovering a story of survival and maybe even compassion.
Compassion. You mean from the humans?
Think about it. 14,000 years ago, life was tough for everyone, right? Humans were struggling to survive themselves, and yet they took care of this sick puppy.
They must have really cared about this dog.
It seems that way to nurse a puppy through distemper back then would have taken a lot of time and effort.
So what you're saying is this wasn't just some random dog that happened to be buried with these people.
Right. It suggests a real bond, a connection that goes beyond just seeing the dog as a tool or a source of food.
Wow. So are you thinking this might have been one of the earliest examples of humans and dogs living together as companions?
Well, that's definitely one possibility, but to really understand this story, we need to dig a little deeper, and that's what we'll be doing in the next part of our deep dive.
All right, everyone, stay tuned for part 2, where we'll explore the different theories about the Bonn-Oberkassel dog and what this discovery tells us about the early relationship between humans and canines. It's really amazing to think about, isn't it, this connection between humans and dogs going back so far?
Yeah, it makes you wonder, what was their relationship like? Did they see this dog as a pet, as part of the family, or was it more of a working partnership?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, right? And unfortunately, we can't just hop in a time machine and ask them.
But we can look at the evidence and see what it tells us, right?
Exactly. So let's dig into some of the theories that researchers have come up with.
So one theory is that the Bonn-Oberkassel dog was indeed a pet, much like the dogs we have today.
Makes sense considering the level of care received during its illness. I mean, who would go through all that trouble for a dog if it wasn't important to them?
Exactly. It suggests a real emotional connection, right? Especially in a time when survival was so difficult.
But couldn't it have also been a working partner?
Mm.
Helping with hunting or providing protection?
Oh, absolutely. That's another very plausible theory. A dog's senses would have been invaluable back then.
Imagine trying to hunt in a snowy landscape with limited visibility.
Right. A dog with a keen sense of smell and hearing would be a huge advantage.
Not to mention the protection factor. I mean, a loyal dog could alert you to danger and even defend you against predators.
Definitely. And remember, we mentioned that tooth from a second older dog found in the burial site.
Yeah, what about that? Does that tell us anything?
Well, some researchers believe that the inclusion of that tooth as a grave good suggests that dogs might have had a deeper, perhaps even spiritual significance for these people.
So not just practical benefits, but a symbolic meaning as well.
Exactly. Perhaps they were seen as guides, protectors, or even companions in the afterlife.
Fascinating, isn't it, how these ancient burial practices can offer glimpses into the beliefs and values of past cultures?
Totally. And it adds another layer to our understanding of the human-dog relationship.
So it seems like the Bonn-Oberkassel dog is just one piece of a much larger puzzle.
Right? Absolutely. There's evidence of early human-dog interactions all over the world, some dating back even further than the Bonn-Oberkassel dog.
Really? Like, how far back are we talking?
Well, there's a site in Siberia called the Goyet Caves where researchers found the remains of a dog that dates back around 33,000 years.
33,000 years. That's mind-blowing.
Right. It suggests that the bond between humans and dogs could go back tens of thousands of years, maybe even predating the development of agriculture.
So this connection predates modern civilization as we know it.
It seems that way, and it makes you wonder, how did these early dogs shape human evolution? Did they make us better hunters? Did their presence provide a sense of security that allowed us to explore new territories?
Or do they even play a role in the development of human language as we had to learn to communicate with them?
Fascinating questions, right? And it highlights just how profound the impact of dogs has been on our species.
It really makes you appreciate that special bond we have with our canine companions, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And, as we wrap up our discussion about the Bonn-Oberkassel dog, I can't help but wonder what those two individuals buried with the dog would tell us if they could speak.
Oh, that's such an intriguing thought. What stories would they share about their lives, their experiences, and what this dog meant to them?
Yeah, it really makes you think, right? Like, what was their daily life like? What did they call this dog? Did they have a special name for it?
Did they share their food? Did they cuddle up together for warmth at night? I mean, the possibilities are endless.
Exactly. And, while we can analyze bones and teeth and try to reconstruct the past, it's those little details, those personal touches that really bring the story to life.
And it's a reminder that behind every archaeological discovery, there are real stories, right? Stories about real people and animals who lived and loved and experienced the world just like we do.
It's a connection that transcends time. It reminds us that we're all part of this long chain of being, and that even though the world has changed so much, some things remain constant.
Like the bond between humans and dogs.
Exactly, a bond that's been forged over thousands of years and continues to shape our lives in profound ways.
It's pretty amazing to think about, this tiny glimpse into the past, this dog buried with these humans. It opens up a whole world of possibilities and questions.
And that's the beauty of archaeology, right? It's not just about digging up old stuff. It's about using those clues to piece together the story of our shared history.
It makes you wonder what other secrets are still out there waiting to be discovered.
Oh, I'm sure there are countless stories still buried beneath the surface, just waiting for someone to come along and unearth them.
Well, that's a thought that'll keep me going on our next deep dive.
Absolutely. And for all of you listening out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep digging deeper into the mysteries of the past and the present.
Because who knows what incredible discoveries are just waiting around the corner.
Right. And until next time, thanks for joining us on this journey back in time.
It's been a pleasure exploring with you all, and we'll see you on our next deep dive into the fascinating world of knowledge.